What's up, spiritual gangsters? This your OGs, Treese.
And Rain.
Welcome to another episode of Trybe Vibes.
Let's get into it.
So, welcome back to our series on love.
That's right. Today we're going to go into the topic of loving others.
We talked about it a little before, but this is just a continuation of our previous conversation. So, we're going to get right into it.
Dive in.
So, do you have a quote? If not, I have some.
I do. Let me just pick. Well, since we are talking about, the love of others, I'm going to bring up the topic of quote unquote soulmates. Now, I found...
I can't hear you. You say you're going to bring up the topic of what?
Soulmates.
Soulmates, okay.
Yes. Now, I have something from Aristotle. Yes, I'm bringing it way back.
Okay.
Old way back. Philosophizing and shit. Love is composed of a single soul inhabiting two bodies. Now,
okay.
I've now brought up this topic to speak on it, but I do not 100% agree. I just know that it's something that's always talked about with the whole
and you want to
love thing.
It right now.
I definitely do. Now the whole you complete me, you're my other half, I'm nothing without you type of shit. I don't believe that. I don't fucks with that. That should not be the ideal. You should not be looking outside of yourself in any manner in order to be completed. Now, when I think soulmates, the only degree in which I believe that is there are people who we are intended to interact with. We're intended to have some sort of relationship to different degrees. Because we're supposed to learn from them, or we're supposed to grow within that relationship or interaction, and it doesn't just mean romantically, because I believe there's people in my family who I believe are, that I'm meant to interact with to a certain degree, that they're quote unquote soulmates. I have friends in my life that I'm like, I can't get rid of them, so they're my soulmate. They're meant to be in your life for a reason. You know what I mean? Right. So that I agree with, but I don't believe the whole, I'm nothing without you, you're my other half bullshit, because you should be a complete person, or striving to be a complete person within yourself, and having somebody else in your life should be a compliment and not.
You know what? I 100% agree with that quote. And because I looked at it different, I didn't look at it in the aspect you looked at it. So,
okay.
Just to talk about the way I feel about the world and stuff as of now, is that I feel like there's universal knowledge, or universal spiritual, let's say where people go after they ascend, the whole spiritual knowledge and all of that.
You said that's so pretty.
Or universe,
go after they ascend.
You know what I mean? I feel like we are all a part of one spiritual universe, but at different degrees. Some people are damn near 0% of it, and some people aspire, to be almost completely, one with universal knowledge. And I feel like it explains a lot, how you feel connected with certain people, how sometimes you meet somebody and you felt like you know them. I think you think you know them because you know yourself, and you're connecting with the same spiritual, I don't know how to describe it. You're connecting with the same, universal spirituality, you know what I mean? And people are either more a part of it or less a part of it. And when you meet people, you connect with them, even if they're different than you, because they're ascending towards that spirituality, or that, essence or whatnot. So love is
they're riding the same wavelength.
Right. So I feel like love in a certain way. So I feel like love is when two spirits inhabit one body. That's what they said, right? Because both of you
Mm.
are inhabiting the same universal knowledge and the same universal spirit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, we're
And that
going
connects with
deep with it.
everybody. So if everyone literally took the time to love each other and to ascend into something higher spiritually than themselves, they would understand that it would be 500 people in one body. There would be a billion people in one body. You know what I mean? Because we would all understand the
Okay,
same
yeah.
universal knowledge and the same universal spirituality and the same principles as we ascend beyond ourselves into our spiritual sense of the world. Because I feel like all our spirits are a part of one big spiritual being, you know, and we're just
I
like
like that.
out images of everything and spit out images of everyone. You know what I mean? So
I like that.
I agree
Yeah.
with that quote because it
Okay.
could be 2 people, 5 people, 6 people, 1,000 people. I don't see it
But we're all
I don't see it as
one.
somebody completing you. I see it as you completing yourself to become a part of the ultimate body that can rest in anyone at any time because it's the same type of matter or
I
energy.
like that. Oh, that reminds me of a Beatles lyric.
What is that?
I am he, as you are he, as you are me, and we are all
Exactly.
together.
That's how I think
That's
about
some
it.
deep shit, man.
See, the Beatles
All
made it
right,
a
all
lot more
right.
simpler. I was
Pass the
mad
treat,
and so
dude.
scared about it, but yes, the Beatles made it a lot more simpler for us.
No, I was just vibing. No, what you said completely makes sense. Yeah, I get that.
Right.
That's deep. That's deeper thing. All right, I like
So
that.
it's like you
Okay.
looked at
All
it
right,
from,
Aristotle. Maybe you knew a thing or five.
so I feel like you looked at it from a very, no, but I like the differences because like it shows people like how different people think because it's like you looked at it from a very physical matter standpoint in this life and I looked at it as a more spiritual sense of being standpoint. Because I do agree with you. It's not
Yeah.
that I don't agree with what you said. I just
Yeah.
disagree
No. It's
according to
just
the
yeah.
quote.
I like that. The meaning that you got from it. I like that point of view.
People, like, let me be clear. People do not complete you. You complete yourself and decide if you want to be
Damn right.
connected with other people. You know what I mean? That's what you decide. You decide
Mm-hmm.
how much of yourself you want to fill up and connect with other people. It's not that people fill you up. That doesn't happen because we're all searching within the same matter. You know what I mean? The same matter I'm composed of, everyone else is composed of. The same spirituality I'm going to, the same spirituality everyone else is going to, regardless if they tag it Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity. It doesn't matter what you tag it. It's life that we live in right now in the universe.
Yeah.
You know? All right. Let me get
I
off
like
my high horse.
that.
I do have this like it's like cute, like a nice like myth of like I shouldn't say cute. It's a very nice myth of in Hinduism about like why people seek love and what is it that we seek, you know. And I like the myth
Okay.
because it kind of puts reason towards things and kind of like settles like the reason why we're constantly searching and stuff and what we're actually searching for. Whether you believe
Mm-hmm.
the myth or not, it can resonate just in your day-to-day life about how you think about things. So it's from the Yes, Journalism for People Building a Better World. And the article is called Ancient India's 5 Words for Love. I'm just going to talk about the first part of it where they talk about the myth. Basically, they say Hinduism has a beautiful myth about the origins of love. In the beginning, there was a super being called Purusha. This being was without desire, craving, fear, or indeed the impulse to do anything at all, since the universe was already perfect and complete. Then the creator Brahma, I don't know if I'm saying that right, took out his divine spirit and split Purusha into 2. Sky became separate from earth, darkness from life, life from death, male from female. Each of these set off passionately to reunite with its severed half. As humans, we too are seeking unity, and this love is the word we use for that search. And the reason why I like this is because they basically say like the world, like we live in this material world that's like split, and it's up to us to unite and to unify ourselves to kind of get back to that super being, kind of like what we were saying before in a way. And the way we do that, or the word we use to do that, is love. Like, we do that with being compassionate with each other, understanding each other, having good moments with each other, being loving kind with each other, having compassion for each other. We do all these things to try to make ourselves and other people along with us complete in a way where we can go back to the beginning, you know what I mean, and ascend our own selves. So, you know, and I like the fact that basically they say we are seeking unity, because I feel like love without unity is not love. You know what I mean? In order to love somebody, you have to be united to something or somebody. You know what I mean? Like, love
You
is
have
not
to be on the meet halfway or
right.
be on the same wavelength, some
Because
type of
I feel like
connection.
you do need to unify with yourself, which we'll talk about in love of both. But, you know, you have to unify with yourself and you have to unify with others. You know what I mean? Once yourself is good. So you unify with your body and your higher being, and then you start unifying with other people. And that's basically like what drives the world, like unification. You know, love is the basis for a lot of things that we do.
It should be the intention, man.
Right. And then I'll go to even like my Sigmund Freud quote. He said, whoever loves becomes humble. Those who love have, so to speak, pawned a part of their narcissism. Meaning, in order to love somebody or to love anyone in the world, you have to like, it's like it chucks away a little bit of your individuality in a way, a little bit of yourself, a little bit more of your ego. I should say your ego more than anything. Like, it's like you becoming less ego ridden or ego driven.
Oh, right, yeah.
And being more of like, you know, like being a more worldly person, being more, you know, thinking of others besides yourself. Not saying you have to lose yourself, but you're pointing a part of yourself, your ego, in that sense, you know, because you have to think about others also. You know, it's not always about yourself, you know, because in order kind of to make this a better place, you have to think about other people, you know, because with you doing that and other people doing that, everyone's covered. So if everyone pawned a part of their narcissism, like, a lot of the world problems would be fixed, because everyone would be thinking at least a little bit about somebody else.
The male ego must die.
But it
and
don't
then the
have to
world
be
will
the
be
male
happier.
ego. The male ego. It's just ego in general.
No, yeah, no, I get that. Well, I was speaking more towards, you know, the machismo, but
right.
In a general sense speaking, yes, we do have to love ourselves and care for ourselves. Everything must stem from that first, because, you know, you can't pour from an empty cup. But at the same time, we shouldn't be all consumed in solely, you know, just ourselves and what makes us happy. That's bordering on hedonism. We have to put or consider, you know, other people as one of the first things and how things affect us. So yeah, as you were saying, you know, you have to give up the ego so that you can meet somebody halfway. I agree with that.
And then I have just one other thing that kind of tags along with this. It's 1 Peter 4:8 in the Bible. It says, above all, love each other deeply, because love covers a multitude of sins. And I feel like that's important because it's like what we were saying, like, the more you love each other and the more you practice all these teachings about love and all these parts of love, it may not even be your sins that you're covering, but just in a worldly sense, like, you can help alleviate the world of their own sins and the world of, you know, all the bad that is happening to them, just because you love the world and you loved other people. And I feel like that's really important.
Yeah, because it's, sins, I think it's like, not necessarily the literal sins, but it's more like the negativity in the world, because, you know, good overcomes evil in the end, more or less, if you believe that. I guess yes, I agree. I don't want to think out loud because my thoughts go crazy. No, I agree. No, my thoughts, yes, I agree. Okay. Final answer.
Do you have another quote?
I does. Bu- 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 bum. I'm torn between these two. Because I think this is talking about romantic love. Let me just share one from William James. Now this is, I'll just read it and I'll talk about it. This, it says the deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. Now, I took that as, that's one of the principles of love. And I know, especially in the first podcast, we were talking about how, you don't technically need anybody, that a lot of that love should come from yourself. However, I also believe that on a certain level, we kind of do need each other in life, and the need to be loved is ingrained in us still. Those feelings are something that we all want, and once again, in different ways.
I agree. It goes back to the Hinduism, well, I don't want to call it a myth. I don't know what they call it, but, that I just spoke about like we're constantly trying to seek unity and love with each other. And that's also appreciation and acknowledgement. It all kind of coincides with each other.
Yeah, and it coincides. I really pulled that because it went with something I got from the Karan. I'm just going to summarize that verse because it gets into like specific, like loving others, like giving to the needy, to the orphans and beggars and such and so forth. But just the overall gist of it was the need for community and that type of love. How that is ingrained in us because we just like historically, people in general, they thrive in packs.
Mm-hmm.
You come together and travel in groups and stuff like that. So just to be able to provide that sense of, taking care of others and others taking care of you. That's just something that spoke with me. That's all. End of rant.
You're stupid. No, I agree with you. I like that. I have this other article, Hinduism article by in this, I guess, journal called Savannah East, and it's called The Top 3 Love Laws of Hinduism by Matt Karan, and he based these 3 laws from Bhakti yoga roots, Bhaki. Say it how you want to say it. I don't know. And basically, the first of the 3 love laws is the law of attraction, which says, where there is love in our hearts, only love will come out, by Radhanath Swami. I'm sorry if I'm butchering everyone's names. I need to take more time out to learn how to pronounce these correctly. And basically, it's the law of attraction. So I like this part because it's like, it's describing like kind of like how love works, and basically like what you put out there is what you get, which is kind of like karma in a way, what people think, but it's more of like less of karma and more of like law of attraction. Like if you have love in your heart, and it's like, for instance, like, this is totally off topic, but one time I got really drunk and I got really drunk.
Okay.
I was at this holiday job function party,
Oh, Lord.
That's why I'm like trying not to drink anymore, like, all this stuff, like, because I feel like it's not really that good for you anyway. So this is like in my past life.
Oh, not at all. Work
So,
function.
so there's conflicting evidence, whatever. But in my past life, I got really drunk, and I was at this holiday party for my job, And my assistant manager was like such a horrible person. Like, she just, I shouldn't say she was a horrible person. She had a lot of conflict inside of her. Like,
oh, that's a nice way of calling somebody an asshole.
it wasn't that she like hated everyone. It's not that she had like bad intentions for everyone. She just didn't really know how to like be an assistant manager. She really just didn't know how to like elevate herself in a way to like motivate people to do things. It was really just about her. So
Mm-hmm.
I got really drunk, and I remember during the party, I wanted to like go up to her and talk to her about like, how I felt about her, like honestly, and like things that she should do to like try to like make people like do better and blah, blah, blah. Just trying to like, cause I felt bad for her. I just wanted to show her how to like better relate to us in a way that can help her and help us and make the whole unit more comfortable and blah, blah, blah. I got really drunk. And I remember having a conversation with her. I don't remember how the conversation went. All I remember is I end up like twerking on her and like doing like crazy shit.
What?
I don't remember what happened. And then I woke up the next day and I hit up one of my coworkers and I was like, what the hell happened like last night? Like, I remember going up to her, talking to her. I don't remember much of the conversation, but like, I know in my heart, I went up to her with like her heart trying to like really like make a good point across, to try to help out everyone. And she was like, all I remember is that you were like busting it down on her. And like, she seemed like she was liking it. I don't really realize what happened. Even though I feel like this is not like, it may sound like it's going nowhere, but.
I'm pretty sure there's a point. It's just the story.
It's just funny, So her point is that at the end of our whole conversation that we had of us trying to like recount what's going on, she said, I feel like you always have good intentions. And I feel like usually when you have good intentions, your good points will get across, like, or at least that'll get across, and although you probably don't remember everything you said, I highly doubt, because I'm a very like, I guess I'm a very like pure heart person, like when it comes down to it. Like, I don't really like wish bad upon anyone. Like, I try to do like as good as I can, whatever. So she was like, as long as you have good intentions, usually, you get what you want out of the situation when you have good intentions. Lo and behold, the next day she came to work, she was so nice. She was so kind. She was revitalated. She, whatever.
You got a magic booty.
Yeah, like I got the magic booty, right? She was like doing the things that like made everything more comfortable, more motivated to work, more motivated to do things. And I'm not trying to promote like work on your manager and you'll get like
just bust it down one time and all your problems.
I'm saying. You know what I mean? And people probably have similar stories like about holiday parties and like how they relate to like managers and stuff. But it's like, and we were a wholly different unit. Like, we're not like business people, nothing like that. Like, we have a whole different vibe going on in our unit. But what I will say out of the story is that if you really truly want good in your heart and you try to express that to somebody, like usually you'll get good out of it. And when you don't get good out of it, it's not because you weren't good enough. It's mostly because of the circumstances, or maybe it's not time for that person to elevate themselves.
To receive that.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe it's not time for that person to receive things, because you even have to think about yourself. Sometimes you were at times where good things were happening to you or people were doing good to you, but you just really wasn't in the I guess the moment or the time, or had the ability or the level of maturity to receive the things that they were giving you at that time. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that you no longer need to have good in your heart. That just means that you have good in your heart and you will attract good. You know what I mean? And that person may not think in that moment that that's what that is, but in the long run, they will look back on it and be like, yo, that person was good to me. Like,
exactly. You never know.
Because even like there's
sometimes it just needs to sit with people for a little bit, or maybe something else will bring it up, and it's like, oh, this happened, and maybe that means this, and They just need to reflect on that. But
Just continue
keep
to have
doing
good in your
amazing,
heart.
sweetie.
Because you know what? There's no guilt with having good in your heart. That's really the
That's
key.
right.
There's no guilt or ill-heartedness that you can have inside of yourself when you project only good. You know what I'm saying? You'll never.
Because you know you had a good intention, so like nothing can ever
Right.
take away from that.
You'll never, like, in the end be like, oh shit, I should have never been good to that bitch. You know, you may think like that in your heart, but if you really elevate yourself a
But
little
they
bit,
didn't deserve it at the time, but
like, you would be
everybody deserves a
happy
little happiness.
that you were good
Right.
to them even out of bad circumstances because you feel like a better person because of it, and you hope that eventually she looks back on that situation and thinks of that. Because there's been plenty of guys that I've dated, like, in the past when I was, like, in college, struggling for a meal, that, like, gave me a whole bunch of meals and was, like, really good to me and, like showing me the world. People I should have made my husband, like, legit. Lost guys that I should have made my husband at that point because they showed me nothing but, like, support and goodness. But I was so focused on, like, you know, just being lower levels of myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just living my life.
You weren't ready to receive that kindness wholeheartedly.
Like, just doing me. I wasn't ready to receive, like, all that good energy and all that positivity. Like, I was lost. Like, I wasn't even, like, on the same wavelength that I am right now, you know. But looking back, now I'm like, damn, like, I want the type of guy to do this and this and this and that for me. And it really shaped, like, what I believe and my thoughts and, you know, how I do. So those guys who gave me, like, all that goodness and all that love, like,
kindness.
If you're there, out there somewhere, just know that I really did appreciate it. And I hope you found, like, a really good girl, and I hope you didn't, like, shy away from how good you are. It's just I wasn't ready to accept what you were giving me. But right now, I'm ready to accept that. So if you want to come back into my life,
ma'am,
it's all good.
My address is listed below. And thank you for the free meals.
So that's how I feel about the law of attraction.
Okay. And the other moral of the story is keep twerking for world peace.
Work on your bosses and, you know, shout out the dudes that used to, like, do good to you.
Oh God, you're a mess.
Maybe I'm more of a hot mess
But I love
you.
But I love you.
So that's how I look about the law of attraction. Always have your heart is too good. It'll come back.
Oh Lord.
This may not come back when you want it to come back, but it'll come back. Like, trust and believe. Law of attraction will always come back.
A boomerang, baby.
Yeah. So the next law is the second law is the law of unification. Law of unification describes there is a magnet in your heart that will attract true friends. The magnet is unselfishness, thinking of others first. When you learn to live for others, they will live for you. And that's by Paramahasa Yogananda.
Oh, there's more.
Yes.
Right.
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 And it's basically saying, like kind of how, like, what we said about the story about how, like, how we met, like, you attract, like, true love and true friends by being unselfish and thinking about others. I was like, yo, I was thinking about her and how much she was struggling with this damn fucking sheet. And I was like, yo, like, bitch. Like, you know, this is how you can put on a finished sheet without, like, fucking struggling so fucking much. Like, I was unselfish and thinking of her.
I'm laughing because that's honestly how you talk to me.
I was living for her in the moment because I was like, I was sitting with, like, my hands folded, like, bitch, like, this is how you can do it. And, you know, this is how the Lord
will never get old.
Become true friends, you know?
That's true. I find friends in the world. It's like my best friend. Speaking of weird people, I love her to death. My best friend, we met in high school, and I used to be a super angry person. And we were like in English class, we were assigned a group together. And this bitch booped me. She's like, boop. I was gonna kill her. Like, what the fuck is your problem? Then we became best friends. I don't know.
See, that's how it happens.
You meet,
Like,
you meet people how you're supposed to meet.
and
I almost choked her, but glad I didn't.
The way they describe unification is that they said when it comes to unification, selflessness has no place in it. Everything in the universe is one. When helping someone, you're uniting your energy, which makes you feel closer to them. Part of your ego gets lost in that moment. This strengthens your bond and individual feeling of happiness. Mutual love then becomes spiritualized. Both of them only want the highest good for one another. So
everybody's striving towards.
I actually like how they describe this because they kind of put in context the feelings you feel when like you meet somebody that you instantly connect with. It's like your energies kind of like become one. And that's part of like what we were talking about before about like how two bodies inhabit like two minds inhabit one body or whatever we were saying before. Because it's like
two souls.
Two souls inhabit one body. It's kind of like you're uniting your energy, which makes you feel closer to that person. Because people don't realize, like, when you exchange energy, that's how you feel closer to somebody. Like, even with having sex, like, you're exchanging energy.
I was about to bring that up. Yep.
That's why you feel closer to that person, because the energy you're exchanging, you know? And that's a whole, maybe we'll get into, like, love or relationship or sexual part, like, later. But it's good to bring up just so people can kind of understand. And part of your ego, like Sigmund Freud say, part of your narcissism gets lost in the moment, you know? You pawn it away, and this is going to strengthen your bond as a person. So the way you create bonds with people, bonds of love with people, is when your energies unite, you let go of part of yourself, and your bond gets strengthened, and then that's how you feel happiness within the situation, because both of you guys are on one plane. Your mutual love becomes then spiritualized in a way that you feel like it's forever. Even if you pass away, that person passed away, your bond is like forever. And that love you feel when you reflect back on things never goes away. Even like, let's say something happens and blah, 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 you still reflect on like the love you felt because you pawned a part of your ego in that moment. And your energies united in a way where you guys were spiritualized and you only want the higher good for yourself. Or, well, for each other, I should say. You know what I mean? You wish, that's why people be like, like when they end a relationship, be like, I wish the best for you. There's so many guys that I've dated before that I'm just, I wish you have a woman right now. Like, I don't know what you're going through, but I hope you have a woman right now who actually like respects you and loves you. Like, I only wish like the best for you. You know what I mean? Because our bond and our love was real.
Yeah, love is an energy, and energy can't be destroyed. So.
Right. Only what? Only transferred.
Oh. Yes, I used to be a science major. I don't know. I literally used to be a science major.
And then the last law. I'll talk about the last law just to wrap this part of it up. The law of reciprocation. They said karma, memory, and desire are just the software of the soul. It's conditioning that the soul undergoes in order to create an experience. And it's a cycle. And most people, the cycle is a conditioned response. They do the same things over and over again. And this is by Deepak Chopra. And basically they're saying for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, which is the laws of karma. Doing good deems being good, example, which builds up karma to bring progressively better things into our lives, including new relationships and new people. And love is the unit that unites harmony, I guess, in a way. I don't know. I guess the way I think about it is that, like, karma, memory, and desire is, like, how you feel about your current situation, and it's like
Yeah.
conditioning that you use in order to create your present experience. But I don't feel like it's everything. You know what I mean? Like, because
Mm-hmm.
what I was saying about like memory is like, memory is what you think. Like, everyone's memories is what creates experience, what creates the world, what creates our interactions. Like, memory is really all that we have to really like create everything. Like, memory is the basis of everything. And desire is the basis of like how you feel now and how you express based on like your memories. But the problem with memory that I feel is that people usually only really remember like either things that are really good, or they only remember things that are like really bad. And that's really the problem with memory, because like, just because, I know science in the brain, like there's one part of your brain for short-term memory, and there's a whole another part of your brain that deals with long-term memory. Your
Mm-hmm.
short-term memory works, remember short-term things, things you do throughout the day, but only if your mind feels that it's necessary to remember something from the long term does it transfer your short-term memory thought into long-term memory. That's why they have like a whole bunch of different like ways you can like study to like remember things long term and blah blah blah. They'll have like different strategies and stuff, because you actually have to work your brain to remember things for the long term, unless they were things that elicited a great emotion out of you, like great happiness, or very low like depressing things, that you remember.
Yeah.
Like for
The
instance, like
extreme.
the other day I was at my mom's house, and I was like not yelling at my mom, but we were just having a conversation. I was just like, "You beat me every day as a child. You're getting beat
Dramatic.
every day." I was being mad dramatic. And then my mom was like, "I did not beat you every day. Like, you're being mad dramatic." And then
Oh.
I called my brother downstairs, and I was like, "Did I get beat every day when I was a kid?" He was like, "No, you did not get beat every day as a kid." But in my mind, like the beatings were like the major,
Constant.
constant that happened in my life when I was younger. So I always felt like I got beat every day. But in actuality, I probably really didn't get beat every day when I was a kid. But that's what I remember. I
No.
remember the beating. As a lot of black
Because
kids
you were a badass
remember.
kid.
Like, I don't remember the neutral times, the times where everything was okay. Not good, not bad, but okay. I either remember the really bad or the really good. And sometimes we need to like maybe take a step back, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
discussion is really good. Like discussing like your past, or like your family members, or people who remember the things that went on. Because sometimes the world that we create ourselves based on our memory, or our desires that we feel in the moments, or what we think our karma is, shapes our experience, and it conditions us. And sometimes it doesn't condition us in a good way. Sometimes it conditions
Mm-hmm.
us in a way that keeps us stagnant, keeps us not able to experience love in the moment. And we end up doing the same things over and over and over again in a cycle that may not be healthy for us. So in a way, I kind of disagree and agree with this law, I guess, from the things that I just said. But I feel like karma, memory, and desire, like maybe we can make a different podcast about each of them. But like,
Mm-hmm.
it creates our experience in a way that can be positive or negative to ourselves, that can express love or hinder love at the same time. And I feel like it's worth like a discussion or like a thought.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more like you can't, as we were saying, dealing with other people's past, or where they are, you can't, no, they can't, love you outside of their capability.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that has to do with their past.
Right. And all those three
Okay.
things that, come together, and maybe that, like what you're saying, maybe that's the reason why somebody else can't love you, and they need to work on themselves and their
Right.
situation in order to love other people, because of the way they desire things, they think they desire, their memory about the things that happen, and the karma that they feel like they're undergoing. Or at least that's how I look at the quote. If people look at it differently, please let me know. because that's how I see it. I'll say the quote one more time just for people that are a little lost. Karma, memory, and desire are just the software of the soul. It's conditioning that the soul undergoes in order to create experience. And it's a cycle. In most people, the cycle is a conditioned response. They do the same things over and over again. By Deepak Chopra.
Deepak Chopra.
Oh, you know them?
Yeah, he's the famous. He cool with Oprah, and then.
Oh, really?
He's you never heard of him? He's Buddhist, and he's like a teacher, type of philosopher, sort of type of person.
No. But I'm gonna look him up.
Alright guys, we're gonna wrap it up for today, but definitely come check us out on our next episode as we go further into the topic of love.
So, as always, hope you got something out of this.
Remember, we are experts of nothings out here in these streets.
We learn from you like you learn from us because we are a tribe.
That's right, girl. We a tribe, nigga. Till next time.
Continue to vibe.